Hello there, everyone. This is Craig Blackman, and this is the Indycar Monologues. My name for my YouTube channel. I posted a video a little while back about the Indy 500 qualifying procedure. I guess you could say that was the precursor to my to the name of the Indycar Monologues. Today, I want to talk about the Texas IndyCar race that happened on Saturday night and the debate of pack racing. Do we need it in IndyCars? Is it a problem? We got people on either side of the fence here saying pack racing is good, pack racing is bad. I'm here just to give my thoughts on the issue. So let's get to it. I watched the whole Texas race. I watched it on demand on a NBC app on Roku, which NBC doing a great job, by the way. The exclusive home for IndyCar racing, and I think they really are focused and determined to make IndyCar racing one of the best sports, not just races, sports in America. But I watched the whole race. And I thought it was a great race. I thought it was one of the better IndyCar races I've seen in some time, based on the fact that this was more of a classic oval IndyCar race. Now, I've watched IndyCar for a very long time, since 1992. So I've seen every iteration of IndyCar oval racing. I've seen it at its best, at its worst, and at its ugly. I personally am a fan of what I saw on Saturday night. That is a classic IndyCar race. A race where you need strategy. You need to have a good car. You need to know how to drive that good car. You have to manage tires. You must have good pit stops. If you have a good car, you got to negotiate through traffic. You're not in a pack all night long. It is strung out. You have to be smart. Fuel strategy was a part of this. This is the type of IndyCar racing that I grew up watching over the years. And it's something I really do enjoy. Now, when the Indy Racing League came into existence and as time went along, Texas became basically the restrictor plate equivalent of a Talladega or Daytona in NASCAR because he had pack racing. Now, I also enjoyed that type of racing, but the problem with it is number one, it is very dangerous as we found out over the years. And number two, you could say it's artificial fabrication of racing. When pack racing really became a thing in IndyCar, something IndyCar racing never really seen before. When it first began, this was something new and it's exciting and something that people liked. But as time went along, it did become an issue. I mean, I hate to bring this up, but it's how we lost Dan Weldon because of that type of racing. And we're lucky we didn't lose more that way. Davey Hamilton, you know, thank goodness only his feet were injured in his crash many years back. You know, we look at other instances. Look at what happened to Joseph Newgarden. Just, I think it was last year's race or a couple of years ago, where he went into the fence. A lot of drivers went into the fence because of pack racing. Now, I'm not saying pack racing is completely bad, but what I'm saying is IndyCar racing isn't NASCAR. And I think that's where this whole issue, this whole debate of pack racing starts. I think a lot of fans of IndyCar racing, when they started watching IndyCar racing, was during those years where pack racing was a big deal. Because they have something that was similar to an IndyCar or similar to NASCAR and something they could relate to. So they started watching that. And it's like, wow, this is what we want to see. Then, when the series decided, well, let's stop doing this pack racing thing. Let's go back to more traditional IndyCar racing. Now you have the issue of, okay, the fans of pack racing like, well, what happened to IndyCar racing? It's not an issue of what happened to it. It's going back to what it was before pack racing became a thing. That's what it became. So now you have a group of people, a very large group of people, who are upset that pack racing isn't there, and they're saying the racing is boring and it's predictable and there's not enough passing out there, and that this is not the type of racing they want. You have this other side, and this other side said, this is the type of racing we want. This is classic IndyCar racing. This is more old school IndyCar racing. This is what we want to see. We want to see strategy. We want to see thought put into it. We want the cars to drive hard. So I guess I'm on that side of it, but I do hear the pack racing fan out too. Now, will this debate end? Not anytime soon. What can be done to make the racing better? Well, my suggestion is the Hanford device. If you don't know what the Hanford device is, it's essentially a piece of carbon fiber they put on the back of the rear wing of Indy cars. I believe back in the late 90s, early 2000s, back in Michigan, the old Michigan 500. It raced didn't bring back, by the way. That'll be another video. But they essentially put, it was basically a huge wall for the air to hit, which created an easier way to pass. Yet it did not create a pack racing element. What it did was, if you had a good car, it was easier to pass, but you was able to pull away too. You other good cars had to be with you. It wasn't this whole huge pack. That's what was the issue with the, I think, with the early version of the DW12 and the Aero kits on those, that the package, the Aero package, was so downforce heavy that you couldn't get away from anybody. You couldn't pull away. And handling was thrown out the window because everybody had the same amount of downforce. So if you got in front of somebody, just stay behind them for like a half a lap. You're gonna pass them right back. Now it created an exciting form of racing, but I think a lot of people, I think a lot of IndyCar purists, sort of thought that, well, they're kind of manipulating the style of racing because it's taking skill out of it. It just came down to being in the right place at the right time, and you're probably gonna get a good finish. You could be 15th and end up winning the race even on, if it was your lucky day. You at least get a top five finish because everybody's in a pack. You was either gonna move up through the field or wait for the big wreck, and you got through it. So I say the hand. If you really want more passing, I think the Hereford device could be the way to go. But I have no problem with what they have right now because what I saw in the Texas race was, number one, drivers being drivers. Good drivers was gonna figure out how the package worked. That's why Scott Dixon won the race. Scott Dixon won the race because he figured out the package. He knew, okay, this car you can't drive flat out. You got to use a lot of handling. You have to keep up with the track. That's what he did. That's how he got out front. That's how he won the race. He won it fair and square. He had the best car. He spanked them that night. And he was a legit winner that night. There was all other drivers who did well too. Look at Alexander Rossi, who I like to call the villain, Rick Mears Jr. Here's a guy who passed a lot of cars that night, got another solid finish on an old track right there in the championship. He was able to pass cars. Look at Robert Wickens, or as David Lamb put it, Wiki Bobby. This guy, before his crash, he was going to win the race. He was probably going to win the race. He got stuck in traffic. That's what cost him. But he didn't get stuck in traffic. He was going to win that race. He figured out the car and how to drive the car in those conditions with that setup. That's what IndyCar drivers do on an oval track. Then you have the issue of the tires, which I actually like the fact that they did blister. I like the fact that there was a tire issue and people had to be smart. You couldn't go out there, go flat out, and the tires didn't fall off. You have to have tire management. That is a skill very few master in the world of IndyCar racing or any type of racing. I gotta give credit, even though it was an accident by Firestone, it was a happy accident because you told people, okay, these tires are gonna blister. You gotta take care of your tires. It made for a different race. It made for a smarter race. I felt like a better race because you couldn't just drive flat out. You have to be smart and take care of your tires. So there's that. I think the downforce levels were okay. I think downforce was perfect for that type of track. Not that it was a lot of downforce to begin with, but I think it's perfect. The drivers who finished in the top five that night deserve to be up there. And those are some of the best over drivers in the business. And even six, Graham Rahal, if he wasn't stuck in traffic all night, he would have been up there. He was he fought his way to he earned a sixth place finish through pit stops, through alternate strategy, using different elements. That's what oval racing is in IndyCar. It's not NASCAR. NASCAR oval racing now, especially on a super speedway, is a crapshoot and it's a crash fest. It is one of the reasons why I don't watch NASCAR anymore because I got tired of the big one every time. I got tired of everybody racing in a pack and not using strategy. Got tired of drivers being outlaws and just doing what they want in a pack going 200 miles per hour. But I guess the risk is a lot less when you're in a closed cockpit car with a lot of safety enhancements. The chance of getting hurt or possible death is far less severe. Which brings me to my next point. We can I am a proponent of what they did last night in IndyCar because pack racing will get somebody killed. Sebastian Bourdais made that fact on racer.com. Sebastian Bourdais, I think, is the perfect proponent for that comment. I think he's the perfect man to say that. He's someone who's been in IndyCar a long time, and he's who's more of an advocate of a more single file style race. Sebastian Bourdais is a road racer by trade. He's never been a great oval driver. He's a decent oval driver. He won oval races to win championships in the past, but he's never really been the best on super speedways or the most comfortable. So he's going to be more of a proponent. He's going to be more of a supporter of single file racing, which I agree with. Sebastian Bourdais knows firsthand what an Indy car can do to you. If you remember last year at Indy, his broken pelvis, which a few years beforehand, if that same crash, he may not be walking. May not be here with us. So I agree with him 100%. NASCAR, that is NASCAR. NASCAR has fenders. IndyCar's not NASCAR and it shouldn't be NASCAR. They tried to be NASCAR. That was the Indy Racing League. Okay? We saw what happened with that. Didn't make it. Okay? IndyCar needs to be IndyCar. IndyCar needs to have races like that on ovals because smart racing fans understand how hard it is and how much of a skill it is. People who are not educated on the subject, they're going to complain that, oh, this is not exciting racing. Oh, this is boring. This is not entertaining. Next, which brings me to my next point. The idea of racing as entertainment. I'm going to say this. NASCAR is the sports entertainment of motorsports. And I'm not putting that as a compliment. The WWE is sports entertainment. It's not quote unquote wrestling. It's sports entertainment. NASCAR's the same thing. Hey, for all we know, NASCAR could be fixing their races too. Okay? They're probably not, but there's a lot of things that happen. I don't think there's a coincidence. And I think the way the sport is marketed and is how's it's brought out to the public, its exposure, its image, the personality of the sport, they want their drivers to act a certain way and drive a certain way. The whole have at it boys mentality and let's settle it on the track and let's have a fist fight after the race and let's encourage dirty driving. All that stuff is um is a vehicle for sports entertainment. They know they have a great TV deal with Fox and NBC or Comcast, if you will. They know it. There's a lot of people who watch their sport, and they're gonna try to put on a show, and that's what they do. That's what they do. And I got no fault. There's no fault with it. I have no problem with it. But call it what it is. Call it what it is. It's sports entertainment. It's more sports entertainment than racing nowadays, which is why I don't watch. I don't care for it. I miss the days in NASCAR where great driving was more important than let's have a fight. Let's just run into people. Let's just crash people and don't give an explanation about it. If you did crash into somebody in the past, you would have a conversation. And it wasn't, no, let's settle it next week on the track. No, guys would do what they do. They cursed out, did whatever. But after that, it's like, okay, we're cool. And we don't have to wreck each other. That's that's what you don't see that in NASCAR anymore. In Indy cars, you don't have that because you have going at a much faster rate of speed, and on top of that, you don't have fenders. So if there's a mistake made at those type of speeds over 200 miles per hour, somebody's getting hurt or somebody's getting killed, and you're not going to be able to apologize, talk about it, or have a fist fight afterward because that other driver's dead. Okay, that's why pack racing is dangerous. You got to be responsible. You want better racing, I'm a proponent for that. I condone that. I recommend it, but you can't be having these cars in a pack. Period. Can't do it. It's not gonna work. Okay? Like in auto racing in general, it's a responsibility of every driver on the track to look out for one another. At least it used to be. When I was growing up watching racing, that's what it was. People will look out for one another. There was something called driver etiquette. There was a such thing as racing clean and racing dirty. And drivers who known to race dirty didn't get a lot of respect. Drivers who race clean got a lot of respect and was rewarded for it. But nowadays it's flip flopped. At least in NASCAR, you are rewarded for driving dirty. You drive clean, there's something wrong with you. People try to use the same logic in an Indycar. Can't do that. You better race clean. You better be known to race clean. Or you will get somebody killed. Take it to another series. Formula One. You probably heard of the kid Max Verstappen. Fast driver. He's a future world champion, I'll say it. But he started running into guys this year. Really started last year. Started running into guys, being too aggressive, not being smart. Then we got to Monaco. He wrecked his car in qualifying, and that was the moment his team basically stepped in and told him, "You need to start finishing races instead of going for broke every time." And even at Baku, when he crashed with his teammate Daniel Ricciardo, they're telling this kid, "You gotta calm down. You're in an open wheel car. Even though you're racing in road courses in Europe and all around the world, it's still an open wheel car. It is still an inherent danger to it. You can't be going out there driving people dirty. You can drive somebody close, you can drive somebody hard, but you better drive somebody clean. Because if you don't drive somebody clean in a damn open wheel car, you will get somebody killed. Period. That's the way it is. Same thing in Indy cars. You don't drive clean, you'll get somebody killed out there. That's why pack racing doesn't work. Because everybody's in a pack, you can't pull away, you can't make any room. And then you have people up there racing in this pack who are not exactly equipped to deal with oval track racing. And they make a mistake, and there's a big pile up, and somebody gets hurt or killed, and we don't need that. We don't need it. So, to wrap this thing all up, I think IndyCar's got something here with their current oval package. I think just make some minor tweaks. I say add the Hanford device if you want to race it a little closer. Number one. Number two, drivers need to drive clean. Just drive clean. It's going to make for good racing. And then also, people need to understand that type of race on Saturday is more classic IndyCar racing. And I think people need to educate themselves on IndyCar and what it really is. Because what happened during the split in the IndyCar era and in that area and all the crazy races they had in Texas, that's not really oval track racing. Not really. It's a part of it, but I say people watch more Indy 500s. Plenty of it on YouTube. Watch the old Indy 500s. Watch the old Michigan 500s. Watch the Fontana races. Watch some of those to understand what it, how much work it is, and also how entertaining it is to have a classic IndyCar race. You gotta appreciate that it's an art form. So that's the IndyCar monologue for today. Pack racing. You heard how I feel on it. Comment on it down below. All comments are welcome. You don't have to agree with me. I ain't expecting everybody to agree with me. But if you have a valid point, it is welcome. But no foolishness, please, because you want foolishness. There's plenty of that on YouTube, online. Do that. Don't do that. But if you want to have a serious discussion about IndyCar racing or any type of racing, I'm right here. I'm here in Houston, Texas. I'm Craig Blackman. Till next time, see you later. Also, long live Ron Miller. Without him, most of us wouldn't be IndyCar fans. Thank you.